Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and we're back today. Sorry for the two videos. I started really late, and I didn't want to post any videos over. It's going to be too late for everyone to view. I started a bit earlier this week, today, so I should be able to post out more videos and all that. So, without further ado, let's get straight to it. So PayPal has been, has frozen accounts such as Eric D. July, and now apparently Moms for Liberty assets, and all that stuff. So we're kind of facing kind of like a little bit of a wokeness in banks, which is probably the worst type of issue that we would be facing. Regardless of what people want to say, I don't want any banks really shutting anybody out of their accounts at all for any reason, and this is kind of what we're facing. Whether conservative, Republican, woke or not, I don't want this to be happening because this is not really beneficial, and this is honestly terrible because these are livelihoods, and banks should be 100% apolitical, and if they're not apolitical at all, I would personally believe that they should be shut down immediately or pay a massive fine, because you're holding people's money at hands, their livelihoods and stuff like that, and you can't just refuse people because of their political ideology. So there I have it. So there you have it. That's my personal opinion on this. And if we'll go straight into the article here, we'll kind of see why. This is kind of like we'll see what's going on. PayPal reportedly froze Moms for Liberty assets. Now Florida Governor Desantis vows to fight companies with woke ideology, which it should possibly be. Now I understand that I did say I don't want to woke companies to be out, but however. Or not want to signify against stuff, but what I want to clarify is that it's a good move that DeSantis is fighting against woke ideology in the sense of these companies, because what this specifically means is that the ideology of the woke specifically wants to counter or not let any conservatives available to do business with them, and that's a problem. And when it comes to banks, you simply cut out at least half of America of actually being able to get any type of finances at all, and that should not be allowed, period. So this is a very good stance because it will stop the woke ideology, which will potentially stop the woke ideology from being able to remove one side of the people. But same thing, if it's Republicans or whatever that are doing the same type of stuff here and kind of cancel one specific part of the group, then you can't have that either. So we need to stop this in its tracks, and if another people in their tracks start doing this, we need to stop them too. We need a balance. We need equal balance, and it needs to be apolitical. So there you have it. Continuing to target with what he calls woke corporations, Governor Ron Desantis wants to prohibit state investments that use environmental, social, and governance ratings, which can include taking into account impacts of climate change. DeSantis plans to have the State Board of Administration, which oversees investments, direct pension fund managers against using political factors when investing the state's money. So-called ECG policies have drawn criticism from Republicans across the country. We want fund managers to invest the state's money for the best interests of the beneficiaries for those funds, which is again the people that are retired cops and teachers and other public employees. DeSantis said Wednesday during an appearance at Harpoon Harry's Crab House in Tampa. DeSantis also intends to work during the 2023 legislative session with incoming House Speaker Paul Rayner or Paul Coast to put into law ESG prohibitions. ESG practice can evolve considering a wide range of issues and investments such as companies' climate change vulnerabilities, carbon emissions, product safety, supply chain labor standards, privacy and data security, and executive compensation. The organization DeSantis Watch, a joint project from Florida Watch and Progress Florida that is critical of the governor, issued a statement Wednesday that said DeSantis' proposal does the bidding of its large corporate donors and billionaire supporters. Florida is ground zero for the climate crisis, but once again, Ron Desantis lacks the courage to take any real action to protect the livelihoods of the people of our state, the Dutch of DeSantis Watch said, which is counterproductive of what actually Ron DeSantis is doing. He's doing just that. He's done a lot of things to actually help benefit the people, even give parental rights to actually their kids, which is being removed currently in places like in Chicago and New York, and even in places in California with that. So it was the SB 107 bill. So he is doing the opposite of that. He's giving people choices and the people to do what they want rather than having to put huge limitations. You can say what you want about DeSantis, but he is not doing anything to harm the people of Florida whatsoever. He is helping them, and this is another good step of actually trying to help Floridians, because this helps people of both the aisle, because it makes people, woke companies, be able to target certain people for the political ideology. That's a very huge step, because you don't want political ideology being affected to you in your daily life. You shouldn't be affected with just your political ideology, race, etc. And that's what the woke left have been trying to do. The very radical left are trying to do. Managers oversee $250 billion in assets, investing money from Florida the retirement system and 25 other funds, while also overseeing the Florida Hurricane Catastrophe Fund, a major reinsurance program. Patronus in June also targeted investments that involved ESG ratings at the time. Emily August-Bay, a spokeswoman for the State Board Administration, said in an email that as fiduciaries, the SBA and its investment managers are required to take all relevant risk into account when making investment decisions. August-Bay added that neither the SBA nor its managers use the ESG factors as a way to screen or limit the available investment opportunities set. Backing DeSantis on Wednesday, Tina Josovich, a co-founder of the conservative group Moms for Liberty, said her organization and some members have had accounts frozen by PayPal. In a day and an age of cancel culture, where parental rights groups are being designated as domestic terrorists by our own United States Department of Justice, not incorrect at all. The cancellation of our financing by our organizations just seemed like the next step in these to make draconian policies, Josovich said while at Harpoon's Harry's. On its website, PayPal said building a more financially inclusive and interconnected world is the foundation of our values like culture, which is grounded in inclusion, innovation, collaboration, and wellness across our communities, workforce, and strategies. PayPal said its ESG strategies expands on a mission to promote financial wellness and empower those who are underserved by the financial community. You're actually wrong about this, because I'm about to prove you guys wrong by showing exactly what you're doing. You have cut off this company, Moms for Liberty. This is what you have cut out, and then you have also cut out another person, which is Eric D. July, which is showing that he has been cut out from the access of that stuff. So you doing this is not, you're not saying what you're doing. DeSantis said corporations are being overrun by activist employees who believe they're entitled to have their employees basically emote the same political values as they do. Not wrong at all. We are seeing this with a lot of companies like Disney, Marvel, and stuff like that that are really putting that stuff in and not really helping at all. The problem is that within the inmates are running the asylum, DeSantis continued. Patronus in a June letter to the SBA called practice anti-American, anti-Israel, and anti-freedom ideology that's disguising itself as a sophisticated business practice. During the event at Harpoon's Harry's, Renner supported DeSantis' call, saying global elites are weaponizing American capitalism against us. Not wrong. And this isn't really how capitalism is supposed to be anyways, and they're using it for more evil practices. Now, people are going to say, well, God, what's the reason why we got to stop capitalism and stuff like that? Well, guess what? Socialism and communism is not better. It is by far worse, and people die under these rules. Capitalism, this is not. However, capitalism is being used for evil methods. And anybody can use anything that they see as evil. Until we can find an actual thing that is a system that is better than capitalism, then by all forth come forth. But it's not communism, and it's not socialism. That is not the way to do it at all. We have seen time and time again to where it has been horrendously bad to adopt these policies at all. Renner, who will become House Speaker after the November elections, called the corporate practice a national security issue and a pocketbook issue. What we have is these large corporations and banks that are pursuing a woke agenda that is artificially driving up our cost of energy, Renner said. There's a reason why we haven't built new refineries. There's a reason why we're not drilling for oil, even though we have more reserves in this country than any other place in the world. It's because the banks and this woke agenda is choking off their ability to get financing to do that. DeSantis said ESG is being used by upper echelons of our society to impose a woke ideology on the economy. We don't want to see the economy further politicized, and we want to push back against politicization that's already happened, DeSantis said. Our investment of funds should be the best interests of our beneficiaries here in the state of Florida. It should not be a vehicle to impose an ideological agenda. The state is embroiled in lawsuits over a new law that restricts race-related workplace training and classroom instruction, dubbed by Desantis as the Stop the Woke Act. In one of the cases, businesses contend the law violates their ability to discuss issues such as racism and implicit bias with employees. State officials have described the law as preventing indoctrination. I would 100% agree. And that's what we have to do in order to, try to prevent all this stuff. Now, I'm going to jump into actually some other crazy stuff that people may have not seen. Now, there is a new credit card company that wants to counter woke banks. A credit card company launching Tuesday will allow cardholders, this happened on April 26, 2022, this already happened, but just letting people know, that will allow cardholders to funnel cash to conserve costs in an attempt to push back on a woke corporate culture that has seen banks funnel billions to causes like Black Lives Matter and the Clinton Foundation. Coin, whose adversary team includes former Republican Secretary Cory Gardner, is skewing those politics, instead of allowing cardholders to cast votes on which charities receive their merchant fees. Too many corporations are investing their customers' money in a political and social priorities that align with their executives, the media, and the left's agenda. Coin founder Rob Collins, a former Jubilee political operative, told the Washington Free Beacon, Coin will let conservatives voice their priorities through charitable donations they get to pick. Credit card companies and banks have ramped up donations to the left-wing groups in recent years. JP Morgan Chase and Co. donated more than $2 billion to Black Lives Matter and criminal justice reform groups in response to the movement's protests, while Bank of America pledged to spend $1 billion on a so-called racial equity program. The country's top 10 largest credit card issuers, including Chase and Bank of America, gave more than $2.6 billion to Black Lives Matter initiatives after George Floyd's death in 2020, and tens of millions more to other liberal groups. According to data assessed through the foundation directed online, the corporations also donated more than $29 million to the left-wing immigration group to U.S., $2 million to the Clinton Foundation, and $1.2 million to pro-abortion groups. Goldman Sachs, meanwhile, has donated $3.5 million to Chinese adversaries and $5 million to Obama Foundation. 70% of American adults have a credit card, according to Shift. There are more than 1 billion active credit card countries in the country. And that's what we have here. Now, we also go to here where it says, last week, Tina Tosovich, co-founder of Moms for Liberty, shared the PayPal blocked their account and withheld funds with no warning or justification. Days after our event, their funds were released. Florida has put woke banking on notice. So this is exactly what it is. So it was days after the event, which was when there were funds released. And we also have here where Eric G. July has this put up here, which happened in May 28th. I specifically remember this happening. So, Ask by PayPal has effectively frozen my business account. They will not tell me why. I already called. They only open an internal ticket to reconsider the account limit, and that is meaningless as they state there are no guarantees. Terrible business practice. And as you can see, it shows here, you can't use PayPal anymore. After review of your activity, we have determined that you're in violation of PayPal's acceptable use policy. As a result, your account has been permanently limited, and you won't be able to conduct any further business using PayPal. This is permitted under the PayPal user agreements, restriction activities we may take, etc., etc. So, that being said, Eric G. July will also goes on to say, I'll involve my lawyers from here to see how they screwed up contractually. Until then, my team will be looking into alternatives. It's not that we need PayPal for our business, but especially with the upcoming comic book company release, PayPal is a highly requested processor. Unfortunately, at this stance, we will not be able to use this anymore. Those of you that are members of the rgjuly.com, which replaced Patreon, you'll notice that your appointments did not go through. I have my team on the back end working on a solution. Ask PayPal Twitter is also useless. So, he also goes on to say, thank you for taking time to send us a DM with these details. I'm sorry to hear that your account has been permanently limited. Based on a screenshot, it appears that this happened due to a violation of our acceptable use policy, which can be found here. I can understand your frustration. If you feel there has been a violation, it sounds like you already requested this to further be investigated. But I've escalated the matter on my end as well to ensure this correct set of eyes takes a look at this. This may take a few days, but once the review has been completed, you should receive an update via email. We should appreciate your patience during this time, MDR. So, that's what he has. So we're seeing here that PayPal is actively cutting off conservative viewers. And Eric July is not really conservative. He's technically classifies himself as a liberal, and I would actually agree. On top of that, he's not really conservative, and they're cutting off these people. So anybody that has some different values or whatever is actively trying to cut off people that are on the other side, have any type of right-wing views at all. So there you have it. So guys, that's kind of what we're at. PayPal really striking hard. Hopefully, we get some real strong legislation to prevent these people from doing this type of BS and fix that as a whole. All right, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.